Today, we talk about... Hey, yo, what up? Oh, you noticed I got a little something. Let me fill you in on what happened. We'll be right back. Ooh, another day, another dollar, now, son. Make sure you chew your pork, kids, otherwise it gets stuck and I gotta go get inside of it.
Get inside of it.
Sometimes that's what this job calls for. Going fishing.
You gotta be quicker than that.
But anyway, it's a beautiful day out in Iowa. I think I missed the farmer's market.
Getting ready to take them to market.
Because I had to do this. So maybe I'll try and get a hair kizat. Yeah, cool little road we got here. Very nice, very nice. It's called the men's room. Ain't that funny?
None of us would be here without come.
Boom. What y'all think? He gave me this nice little beard edge up, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'm going to shave anyway. But I look dark. Dare I say black. I only see black people able to pull off this this kind of beard, but you know, now I get to know what it looks like if I ever want to go back. It makes my chin look weird, don't it? Kiki, are you riding? Are you loving? Okay. So yeah, shaved. Looks kind of weird. Looks weird on this side. Am I right? But I'll deal with it. Whoa! Alright. Actually, it's an interesting look. Word. Swag. Oh, also, before I forget, check what I've been checking out. Bruh, stay tuned. I pulled up this page because I don't want you to know which colorway I like. It may not even be on this page, hint, hint. But just know, I got some thoughts on the matter. Stay tuned. Oh, also, I was going to make this video earlier, but I didn't. And then I was going to make it later, but I'll tell you why I didn't. Check this out. I was about to watch this interview between Joey Joe Button and Vince Staples. But first of all, this fit though. And second of all, Vince Staples always elicits must-haves, aka this little area. So we're gonna just go and do this quick video right quick, and then we'll be on with our days. Am I right? So first of all, as you notice, the shirt color kind of gives you a clue, a little sneak peek into the video, if the thumbnail didn't already fucking do that shit. Also, just noticed, you know, I don't get paid to do this. And I don't got any sponsors or nothing. So it's kind of liberating that I can just like show you this. Ready? I spy Adidas product. Bop. Adidas product. Bop. Adidas product. Bop. But we ain't here to talk about that sort of ish. What we is here to talk about is the following. Bop. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away, all the windows can stay. Who could she be? Don't wear Adidas with Nike. Shut the fuck up, Richard. Also, for those that missed the Easter egg, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. How good was Seinfeld, though? Sometimes I fucking love video and video editing in YouTube because I can just like put that shit in later. I can just be like, it doesn't even have to sync. Who gives a shit? All right, enough goofing around. Let's get down to brass tacks, aka business. All right, so Hyper Royal. Let's talk about it. So I mentioned a couple things on a recent video, and fact of the matter is, actually, why don't we, let me try a little something. Hold on one sec. Sada, how you doing? All right, so I was checking out the, actually, this is kind of bullshit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. So here's the deal. Let's just, I mean, all right, enough horsing around. You guys are probably getting sick of this shit. Hyper Royal Air Jordan 1. What are my thoughts? Well, here's my thoughts. First of all, I am stunned that this ish is GRAF. And I had mentioned in a previous video, like the non-OG colorways, you want to like just basically limit those and not limit the GR colorways, because everybody wants the GR colorways. The old sneakerheads, the new sneakerheads, and everyone in between, because typically the classic colorways have a certain appeal outside of just the historical context and the storytelling context and its relationship to Jordan Brand in and of itself. For whatever reason, I think it just comes down to there's an authenticity about it when OG colorways come back, because there's this draw to the era that the shoe was created. So of course, not that this is always predictive, but there's always a sense that when you're creating a product in the time, especially at the time that these shoes were made, these are shoes that are being created in a time where there's no retro culture. There's no thought about a lot of other factors that we think about today, aka lifestyle culture, hypebeast culture, day culture. So when Tinker Hatfield, well, in this case, not the Jordan 1, but any sneaker designer that's sitting down in the 1980s to create or design a shoe is not thinking about a lot of external factors. Therefore, a lot more mental and creative effort is being put solely into creating a good product. At least that's the way I view it. So when I look at a thing like a 1985 Jordan 1 or a 1987 Jordan 3, I'm seeing not only a reflection of the shoe and its shape, but the colors that are chosen are reflective of that time period, which really helps carry the shoe into the future, because that vintage vibe in and of itself is a selling point for the shoe as a retro product, let alone as, actually, I just thought of something that I just thought of a point that I really want to flesh out a little bit better before I bring it out into the wild. So we're going to just table that for a second. Anyway, let's get back to brass tacks. So what I'm trying to say is there's a definite role for OG colorways. With that said, bringing back retros with new colorways definitely has a role. But I think, like what I was saying in a previous video, I really hate the fact that Jordan Brand will limit, let alone other brands, they'll limit OG colorways in production value, because I'm in this case I'm speaking biased myself, but as a particular kind of sneaker collector, I really hunt after OG colorways of different silhouettes. So anytime I can find an OG colorway, I try to defer to those colorways, especially if it's a sneaker that I know I'm not going to wear often, especially if it's a sneaker I know that is not that pretty to me, like it's not something I'm going to really be a huge fan of. I'd prefer that if I'm going to get that sneaker as part of this collection I'm creating, that I at least get it in a colorway that it originally debuted in, because in that way, again, from just my personal collection standpoint, it's not only the shoe, but the colorway of the shoe from the time it debuted that can give me that historical aspect that I'm looking for. That's really what I'm trying to do, With that said, if there are certain shoes that I do like the shape of, or if there's a shoe I super fuck with, like OD fuck with, then those are the kinds of shoes that you're going to start seeing me buy multiple colorways of. So if you get a better sneak peek into my collection and you notice that there's a bunch of colorways of a particular kind of shoe, because I really don't like to do that, then best believe that it's a shoe that I really fucks with hard. You know what I'm saying? So the Jordan 1 is a perfect example of that. So let's jump into this. Let's dive in to this Hyper Royal. So first things first, the story sucks dick. I'll be honest with you. Anytime now. All right, the train stopped. We run train.
We want to run train.
This commercial break brought to you by
Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me.
So yeah, first of all, the story, I always defer to the story first. That's always like my go-to move when I'm looking into new shoes or at least new colorways. So the inspiration for this Hyper Royal Jordan 1 is based on the He Got Game high school uniform colors. And first of all, I don't know why everyone jizzes all over that movie, but I couldn't even make it through the whole movie. Granted, I tried to watch it in the post-YouTube, post-Vine era, so it's just like there just wasn't enough happening for me. I just couldn't last through the movie. On top of the fact that was Ray Allen. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Ray Allen. I love Ray Allen's game. But for those that don't know, there is a very strong rumor circulating that it was supposed to be Kobe Bryant that was supposed to actually star in that role for who Spike Lee wanted to cast first. But what had happened was the summer that they shot the movie was the same summer that followed the postseason where Kobe was in his early years and got swept by the Utah Jazz and had like those 4 air balls in a row or whatever. Which, oh my God, man. As a Kobe stan, it's cringy AF to watch that kind of clip. Especially once you've known a lot more about Kobe and especially where he's come since then. But with that said, urban legend has it that it was that game and that very scenario that led to Kobe telling Spike Lee, nah, can't do the movie. I got to work on basketball. And aren't we glad he did? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Because, he kind of pulled out and then, Ray Allen got put into the mix. So it's kind of bittersweet for me because, Kobe may not have become the player he was going to become if he didn't do that. Or at least it speaks to his character in doing that kind of thing. Meanwhile, it's bittersweet because I would have loved to see him in that movie just to have an excuse to have more stuff of Kobe to jerk off to. Now, back to the Hyper. So the story already is just kind of like, for me. On top of the fact that, again, I own a ton of Jordan 1, so I really fuck with the Jordan 1, so I at least pay attention to new colorways just to get a sense of, what's going on in the environment. And so this kind of led me to a secondary pathway. So first of all, I had mentioned how, with certain Jordan colorways, I've been a big fan of having Jordan Brand make the OG colorways GR so that everyone can enjoy them, old sneakerheads, new sneakerheads. Especially from the standpoint of, listen, man, Jordan Brand as a whole, I think, is dying. These new silhouettes just aren't holding compared to what Nike basketball is doing, what Adidas is doing, what a lot of these other lifestyle brands are doing, especially as the evolution of what an influencer is, as the evolution of what musicians and other folks can do for sneakers is doing for sneaker brands. There's really no reason for them to really push hard for athletes anymore, and then especially if they're not as influential as a Michael Jordan. And maybe the next closest things are Kobe and LeBron. And I say Kobe because I'm biased, but honestly, Kobe's sneakers are really good looking sneakers. Can't say the same thing for a lot of KD's, and I can't say the same for a lot of other athletes' shoes. LeBron shoes, there's a few good lookers in there. On top of the fact that I'm slowly but surely becoming a LeBron stan. On top of the fact that he's now a Laker. Am I right? But yo, for those of you that have been fucking with me heavy for a while, y'all know that I joined the LeBron train a long time ago. All right, I've been starting to collect his shit dumb long ago, and I'm still on the hunt. So this just gives me all the more reason. Actually, I'm kind of pissed. I'm gonna be dropping a lot more money on LeBron's, ain't I? Fuck. Anyway, it's not about that. So how many minutes have we spent talking about that? All right, anyway. What I'm trying to tell you is, I try to keep up with these new Jordan 1 colorways because I do love the shoe as a silhouette goes, and I do have a bunch of the OG colorways at least. But I always keep an eye out for these other ones. And I remember, well, actually, this kind of relates. So I won't be buying the Hyper Royal Jordan 1s, but I do want to encourage you guys that are on the fence about it or thinking about it or considering it. Yo, dude, I'm a big fan of that sneaker. It's so beautiful. It's such a high quality looking sneaker. And usually I don't really give a shit about high quality materials on a shoe. I don't think that saves a shoe. I think it helps. It's nice to have nice quality materials on a shoe, but to get a nice shoe or to get, for example, the Jordan 3 black cements, I was blown away by the fact that was coming back with the Nike Air on the back. Given the fact that I had been in the, quote, sneaker game since 2016, and just the grail status of having a Jordan 3 in any colorway, let alone an OG colorway with a Nike Air on the back, let alone the black cement, it was just unheard of back in 2016. And to now finally have it just 2 years later, and to have people bitch about the grain of the leather, I thought that shit was fucking overkill. I'd rather just have the shoe. Especially, I guess I'm a little biased because, you know, I have so many nice shoes to choose from that if I felt like wearing a high quality shoe, I would just bust out a high quality shoe. But knowing that I have the Jordan 3 in an OG colorway with whatever materials, as long as it's not dog shit, you know what I'm saying, then I'm good with it. But again, that just might be my bias, but you know, whatever. I think you guys just have to come to terms with the fact that, Jordan Brand, Nike, Adidas, these guys are multi-billion unit moving motherfuckers. Like, they don't have time to calm down and look at quality control for like OD material Jordans and other shoes. Once we start talking about high-end luxury sneakers and footwear, that's when you're starting to talk about, high-end materials. But for these other brands, like, we really shouldn't be wasting our time talking about that shit. Like, glue stains and basic stitching errors and shit like that, fine. But, like, that shit's so fucking rare. Anyway, we're getting off topic again. I'm a big fan of these Hyper Royal Jordan 1s. And even though I won't be purchasing them, I do want to encourage you guys to consider them. I was saying how OG colorways should be retro, especially of Jordan 1s. And for the non-OG colorways, like, just make those the limited release ones. If you're going to limited release certain colorways, make them the shitty non-classic colorways, because that way, whatever. You can watch the other video if you want my full explanation of that. But certain exceptions can be made if A, they're good-looking shoes, and B, actually, that is B. So, perfect example, I had mentioned the Letterman ones. First of all, I think they look garbage just from a quality standpoint, just from like a aesthetic standpoint, partly because it basically mimics like a bread or a bread toe Jordan 1 as far as like having a lot of red involved, but it's using a colorway inspired by a concept that just like, what? And I mean, if I'm going to wear a red Jordan, I'm just going to wear the breads or the bread toes, like these OG colorways. I would never defer to the Letterman ones over either of these if you're going to make a red one. Now, let's take it to the blues. Now, I do own the Royal Jordan 1s, but when I'm looking at these Hyper Royals, I'm like, damn, this gives such a unique, distinct look compared to the Classic Royals, because the Classic Royals incorporate a lot of black that really stands out, whereas the Hyper Royals incorporate a lot of blue. And the example I want to give to counteract this is the Gym Red Jordan 1s. So they came out as a European exclusive for whatever reason. First of all, why? At the time especially, I'm only speaking from the experience I've gained from YouTube, Jordan models in general are not a big hit in Europe. So to make it a European-only release, especially for such a gorgeous color, it just didn't make any sense to me at the time. So, of course, the resale value just, like, reflected that. It was, like, in the 500s, 600s, 700s at one point. Right, currently, it hovers around 400, 500 right now. Regardless. Perfect example. So right now, I'm wearing the Bread 1s, which, to me, is the best Jordan 1 ever. But I was willing to consider purchasing the Gym Red Jordan 1s because they had such a distinct, beautiful look with still using red, because this Focus has a lot of contrast with black, whereas the Gym Red ones have a lot of white contrast with the mostly red, and red being my favorite color. I was like, same kind of thing happened with these Hyper Royals. I was like, listen, man, I love the Jordan 1 Royals, but this Hyper Royal ones are such a different game changer because they incorporate a lot of this tone. Butterfingers. The Hyper Royals really incorporate a lot of this tone, but with a nice streak of white, kind of like this bed sheet. Am I right? So it's like a very nice juxtaposition, and I really, really dig that. Add on top of that the quality materials. It's just a bonus for me, and it just seems like a slam dunk to me. So I'm in that case, just from that standpoint, I'm happy that Jordan Brand didn't limit those, because I think that'll be a great introduction for a lot of people that are trying to get into sneakers that could enjoy a Jordan 1. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say about it. I just figured I'd give my thoughts on it. It was just one of those shoes where, like, the visual appeal of it made me want to learn more about it. Usually it's finding out about a history of a certain shoe, like I'm going down a history list and a certain shoe comes into play from a certain history line where I'm like, oh shit, I need to get this shoe because it's very significant to this kind of shoe history or fashion history. Whereas this shoe was the opposite. It was like, holy shit, that's a great looking shoe. Let me find out if there's enough about it that I like from its history that makes me want to justify purchasing it. There wasn't enough there for me, but again, I'm coming from a very unique scenario because, you know, I own a ton of shoes and I'm running out of space and I gotta find reasons not to buy shoes and da-da-da-da-da. But, yeah, I would say, listen, man, if you're on the fence about that shoe, get that shoe. That shit is gorgeous. For realsies. Yeah, it's just kind of a shame because, you know, the Euro exclusive red version, which to me, the gym red version is, again, red's my favorite color and it's a gorgeous shoe. I was on the fence for so long about pulling the trigger on that, and I'm glad I didn't because it's just like, you know, whatever. But it's just so sad. It's like, bruh, it's like, this is a gorgeous shoe. That one had great materials too, and it was a Euro exclusive, and as a result, obviously the supply wasn't that great, and as a result, the price has reflected that. So it's kind of nice that in this standpoint, not only is the supply much better, it's much more easily accessible to get the hyper violets, but it's a great looking shoe, still has great materials, and in my opinion, it's a lot more wearable than that red one. A lot more wearable. So you're gonna get a lot more mileage out of that. So for you casual sneakerhead fans who are not like hardcore, nerdy, cerebral into thinking about sneaker-ish, I think that's a great shoe, man. That is a great shoe. If I see anyone wearing that shoe, I will give you the silent salute. Unless you recognize me, in which case I'll give you the. But yeah, man. I guess that's all I got to say. I don't know. It feels kind of weird to just end it there, but I don't give a fuck. We out here. Bye.
But the new me is really still the real me. I swear you gotta feel me before they try and kill me. They gotta make some choices. They running out of options, cause I've been going off and they don't know